Before he died last week, that'd be last week 1 month, Cameron often stated he didn't have any friends. He complained about how isolated our little cabin atop of Lookout Mountain was, how equidistant we were from any civilization. This man with no friends seemed to have friends pop up who lived in at least half the states, 5 countries, and 2 continents, judging from the emails. And the text calls and condolences and queries continue to come in. No friends. I still have about 200 contacts on his cell phone. No friends? This man could talk to anyone. From a retired British doctor who was in Bordeaux for his daughter's wedding, to a London cab driver, Spanish bus drivers in the Alps, Vietnamese refugees seeking help after Katrina, our gay Dutch B&B owners, and to German cops for directions. No friends? If the man had no friends, it was because he was too busy talking to, engaging with, flirting with his next victim. I put so many miles on my pedometer at our fetish parties, trying to keep up with him, that I lost weight at every event we ever attended or hosted. He would float around, working the room, while I trailed behind in stilettos, of course, and when a French woman stole everything but his passport on a boat out from Saint Martin, he was able to finagle his way past the purser without a boarding card, just as the houses were being cast off. Talk to his mother about his lack of friends. She will tell you of the child who dashed off the minute her hold loosened, intent on his next unwilling soul. Engaged in anything that he found fascinating. The whole world was fascinating to Cameron, every bit, so everyone was a victim. He could talk cars, guns, motorcycles, politics, women's rights, the relative merits of organic versus GMO foods, whether climate change was real or fantasy, what was the best roses for any area, how to tie a tie properly, where to buy the best shoes and suits, and what dog should be fed. Apparently, to my surprise and consternation, not dog food. How to string a weed whacker as well as a bow, how to catch a fish and cook it properly, and what vultures prefer to eat. And distinguish their personalities, really. Who knew? The boy never found a person or a subject on which he could not expound. His poor parents spent half their lives buying him the latest gadgets or for his latest hobby, and the other half tracking him down and wandered off to find someone else of interest. As a natural introvert, yes I am, Cameron's version of No Friends felt rather like the gala opening of a New York nightclub to me. He knew more people than the president, and that's not hyperbole. His Rolodex was full when I met him. I mean, bursting with people he knew, loved, or partied with. And if anybody needed it, he was the connector we all craved. He knew someone who just might have the tools, skills, know-how, expertise, or connections to solve your problem. When we opened our store in downtown Chattanooga in 2004, we hadn't received all the shipments we had been promised, but we were determined to open on that date anyway. In order to have enough inventory, he fattened up the stock by pulling out many of his own clothes. And if you've ever seen his closets bordering 3 states, that didn't make a dent. And put sold on the tag so that we looked less like the Somali dress shop in downtown Mogadishu. Our first fancy dress party about 4 months after we opened was what he called a stone soup affair. It started with him turning me one morning across breakfast and saying, "We don't have any money for advertising." We didn't have any money for anything. I responded with, "Yeah, and." He goes, "Well, we need a party, a really big party, a big one with performers and musicians, a DJ, a cash bar, lights and models wearing our clothes." And I looked at him appalled. I asked where he thought that money for all this was going to come from. Stone soup, baby, stone soup. He flipped open his Rolodex, which had only gotten fatter since he moved to Chattanooga, and started making calls. Within 3 weeks, we had 6 hours of entertainers, a fully stocked and donated bar, and people coming in from Atlanta, Nashville, and Knoxville to see what Mr. Cameron had wrought. We had planned on 60 to 100. After 250 crowded the venue, we stopped counting because we weren't allowed to have more than 250, but we had more than 314 tickets turned in. And we partied until 4 a.m. in the morning when they were finally forced to close the establishment, and we bribed them to the hotel with champagne. So, for a man, it is tough with a man with no friends. Last page. Sometimes you have to adopt a homeless English Mastiff, 2 half-Rottweilers, your girlfriend's antique collie, a slightly demented calico cat, 2 vultures, multiple hummingbirds, and any other creature you can find and defeat. A man's got to have companionship. So for those of you who have never gotten a chance to meet Cameron, please have a little sympathy for me. I barely made it through his cell phone buddies and have yet to start on that Rolodex. God bless the child. I'll never find another one like him, and there aren't any more out there with the toughness of his father, Carl, or the charm of his mother, Charlene. There is someone out there, ladies. I got him, and I am certain he has the angels on speed dial.